Dr. Ben Carson, the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, was giving a speech to the employees, and he was speaking about immigrants, and he likened African slaves to immigrants. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
What America is about. A land of dreams and opportunity. There were other immigrants who came here in the bottom of slave ships, worked even longer, even harder for less. But they too had a dream that one day their sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, great-grandsons, great-granddaughters might pursue prosperity and happiness in this land.
Now, this particular message goes out directly to Dr. Ben Carson and really no one else. Dr. Carson, what is wrong with you? And in this message, I'm going to refrain from saying normal words that I would say about you because I want you to actually hear it if you get a chance. Dr. Carson, you spoke about immigrants. Every immigrant that I know that came over here, they came over here by choice. They wasn't forced to. But yet you liken my ancestors to immigrants. And believe it or not, they were your ancestors as well. So you tell me, Dr. Carson, how is it that a African slave in the bottom of a slave ship, being put in chains, fearful, didn't know where they was going or what was happening? You have these savages, these devils, sitting up here doing whatever they wanted to do to my brothers and sisters on those slave ships. So many of my brothers and sisters died in those slave ships that they used to throw them overboard. Sharks used to follow the slave ships because there would be food coming in the water for the sharks, because so many of them died on the way to America. Many of them were in conditions where feces, rodents, sickness, but yet that's what you call immigrants, people that was brought here against their will. Then my brothers and sisters came here on an auction block. Did they really choose to be put on an auction block, Dr. Carson? You had these people putting their hands all on my brothers and sisters, looking at their teeth, moving their heads around, touching them all over their bodies, treating them like they're some sort of animal, human beings. But yet you said that's immigrants. Then you had my brothers and sisters being forced to work all day in fields. Then you had the nerve to say, Dr. Carson, that they worked for little or nothing. They didn't get anything. What are you talking about? The wealth of this nation was built off of the backs of the black man and black woman. They built this country. The people who rule in this country didn't work for nothing at all. But yet you sitting up here kissing the feet of your master. On top of working all day, having to deal with that. Then if they stood up for themselves, they didn't want to be called names they weren't given by their parents. They were beaten. We lost our names. We lost our language. We lost our religion. We lost a lot of our customs. And the main thing out of slavery that I can't stand the most, if I can point to anything outside of the atrocities of it, I hate we lost our language. The reason why I hate we lost our language, because when I look at the Arab, when I look at the Asian, when I look at the Hispanic, when I look at all these different groups, they have their own language and they can beat it themselves. We as black people in America, even though we come from a land that have many languages, we can't speak none of them, that we can identify things and beat it ourselves. We still hold names from the slave master to this day. That's why the former slave master won't leave us the hell alone, because he feel he got an attachment to us still, even though we not on his plantation anymore. On top of being beaten and being stole everything out of our culture, our sisters were raped constantly, producing children that they did not want, humiliated constantly. Our men was raped as well. If you ever watched Birth of a Nation, Dr. Carson, there's a scene in there where they show one of those devils in a bed with a 6 or 7-year-old girl. And I'm glad they actually showed that scene, because that's exactly who these people are that did this mess to my ancestors. Dr. Carson, you're one of the most despicable human beings I've ever seen in my life. You may have some book smarts, but you are very ignorant. But that administration fits you very well, because that whole administration is a bunch of ignorance. I'm glad you actually said this, Dr. Carson, because a lot of people need to be reminded about what our ancestors went through. And there's people that want to say, well, slavery is such a long time ago. Forget that. I never stop talking about slavery. I'm going to hold it dear to my heart because it's the history of our ancestors. And any black person that say that crap, you're silly. Now, they don't go tell the Jewish people to stop talking about the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler. So why in the world you think you got the nerve to come tell me, all my brothers and sisters, stop talking about slavery? We will never stop talking about slavery. If we want to get pissed off about slavery, we'll be pissed off for the rest of our life, because you know what? You never made restitution for it. Let's call that for what it is. We have a right to be upset, because that's evil. That's complete evil. And you're still doing evil to this day to the black man and black woman of America. But Dr. Carson, you're just completely despicable. And you know what? It's sad. It's extremely sad, because you're not a man. When you get on your knees and kissing the feet of Donald Trump or any other white man, you aren't a man, period. You have no principles. You have no morals. It's sad that when you are a slave, but yet you're not even on a plantation anymore. And there's a lot of black people that's like you in this nation. And every last one of you sad, male or female. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Share the video, like the commentary, and subscribe for more news stories.